Eric Swalwell, a representative in Congress who we know made bang bang with Fang Fang, a Chinese spy, was seen hanging out with Hunty Biden, the president's son, who was doing some weird stuff with China as well. The CEFC organization threatening Chinese diplomats and other businessmen, saying, "My daddy's sitting right next to me, give me the money or else." And it's looking like Swalwell was very, very involved in orchestrating this little press deal. And so it's a curious situation that's happening. Now, a lot of things are happening in Washington. Lesley Wolf, one of the U.S. attorneys who was supposedly involved in the investigation of Hunter, she's gone. Comer woke up and finally realized that Hunter gave him that middle finger when he drove by there, flipping off Congress with his attorney. And he says, we're going to do something about it. But this is the story with Swalwell. He says, I was kind of there, set the whole thing up. Why? Because Joe loves his son. Here's the setup. Behind Hunter Biden's unexpected appearance, who showed up to help? Oh, stinky Eric Swalwell, Mr. Bang Bang himself. So Hunter pulled off a surprise appearance at the Capitol. Guess who was there? Eric. Now, the Democrat lawmaker confirmed to Politico that he did it. He reserved the Senate Swamp, which is a spot that's mere feet away from the Capitol that often hosts press conferences, and he got it nice and warm for Hunter. TV cameras spotted Swalwell beside the president's son, and Hunter went on the offense. Now, Republicans later formalized the impeachment, and here, Swalwell has a nice little bro relationship with this dude. Here's what Swalwell said when he was hitting this up on the media. They're saying, why are you there? Why are you setting him up? What is this close relationship you have here with Hunter? Here is Eric.
I see a good and decent man in Joe Biden who united the country, and all the evidence has shown that he loved his son. His son was on hard times, and he bought his son a truck, and his son paid him back. He loaned his brother money, and his brother paid him back. Joe Biden is just a decent American who fought MAGAism and is seeing them use this against him, and as I said, in this sick and perverse way.
Sick, man. Sick that Hunter got $83,000 a month for whatever board he was on with Burisma. Sick that he's threatening Chinese businessmen, saying, I'm sitting here next to my father, who has a wrath that you don't even have any understanding what he's going to be doing to you. No evidence of anything, even though that money that they paid back is directly connected to foreign funds. Nobody able to identify what it was for, where it came from. So this is Swalwell defending the president and the president's son. The Biden administration came out with a statement, not much interesting here. They said, after we got impeached, this is a baseless stunt. Says, the American people need their leaders to take action on important priorities, right? I met with Ukraine and he came here for help, but Republicans are not helping. But we have to address the southern border and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't say anything about it. After wasting weeks, these are not real issues that Americans care about, and American people deserve better, blah, blah. Here, Ian Sams is making the same arguments that we've heard previously. He's White House counsel, and he's saying that there is still no evidence here, and the Republicans have left town. And this is frightening, and it's really unserious behavior. So here's what the White House says. We're going to hear what Congress and Comer and others say here in a minute.
We have really serious challenges, and these House Republicans don't seem to be serious people. They're launching an impeachment inquiry based on lies with no evidence while jetting out of town and leaving Ukraine aid on the table. I mean, this is really frightening behavior and unserious behavior.
We need that Ukraine
Look, on
money.
the impeachment inquiry, they've been investigating this president all year long. Actually, in fact, they've been investigating this president for 4 years. The Senate Republicans, before he was even elected president, investigated these same allegations. And now, all year long, they've been probing and investigating and subpoenaing and doing all the things that they do to try to drum up some type of wrongdoing by President Biden to try to attack him and use politically. And over again, they found nothing. After 100,000 pages of documents, 40 hours of witness interviews. These are the things they've already gotten, and they haven't found a single shred of evidence of any wrongdoing by President Biden because there is no evidence of wrongdoing by President Biden. So as we move forward with this inquiry, whatever that is, they haven't really laid out exactly what they're trying to do here. We're going to keep pushing back and keep putting the facts out there for the American people to see that this is actually a baseless smear that is all motivated by politics and not by anything real.
So, Ian, if you consider what you're just speaking about right now, the intent of the Republicans who seemingly cannot govern, but their sole intent is to impeach.
Is that his dad who just joined him on the show? His father and son routine these two have going on here? Okay. Well, anyways, so that's the White House spokesman who is delivering the same talking points as always, right? No evidence, nothing connects Joe Biden to anything, even though the entire thing, Joe Biden is the hub, right? He is the hub of the entire operation. So So that's the conversation that they're having there at the White House. Now, we know that the cover-up is already underway. I think obstruction is a very serious thing that's worth looking into. For example, why is Lesley Wolf, one of the people that the whistleblower said was involved in covering up the Hunter Biden affair by warning his attorneys that they were going to go investigate a storage facility, said, hey, Hunter lawyers, maybe you should go empty it. And guess what? They did. Now she's apparently leaving. Former U.S. attorney named Lesley Wolf, who was there in Delaware, has reportedly left the Department of Justice. Isn't that convenient? According to Fox News, which cited a source familiar with the situation, the ex-federal prosecutor stood accused by the IRS whistleblowers of limiting the avenues of investigations. Now, reports of her departure emerged the same day that she sat for a transcribed interview with Judiciary. That's curious. Jim Jordan served her with a subpoena back in November, and so she showed up. Now, Hunter didn't, but she did. Now, witness testimony and public reporting indicates that an assistant U.S. attorney for Delaware, apparently the question was, oh, that's from the subpoena, which we read, and that's all we know. Man, we don't know much about this, okay? Apparently she's gone, keeping tight lids on it. And the issue with these lower-level DOJ U.S. attorneys is they're kind of not big enough to follow. Like, the news doesn't follow. The news doesn't look into them and figure out what happened or where it went. So they just kind of slunk away into the shadows, right? Which is just perfect for the prosecutors because they, oftentimes operate in the gutters anyways. So she just kind of goes back into what she's used to, hiding around, covering up for stuff, doing, all the things that we allege she did here. And nobody's really going to investigate it. It just kind of disappears. Now, we'll see what that depo looks like and whether Jordan releases the subpoena on that or the transcripts on that. We'll be certainly interested in seeing them. Now, Comer, who we've been a little bit hard on this week because they got embarrassed by Hunter. They should have had at least a statement that looked good in response to his refusal. Like, that was an option and they didn't even have a plan for it. It felt like on our end. But he woke up and he's still in his hoodie and he's like, aha, I got to talk to somebody about this. Hunter gave us the finger. And so he called his friend John Solomon. Man, he couldn't even get out of his morning run. He just finished his run. It like hit him on his run. And then he called in John. He's like, John, Hunter flipped us off. He gave us a middle finger.
He didn't sit down with you, did he?
No, Hunter didn't. I think the American people got a snapshot of the arrogance and entitlement of Hunter Biden when he arrives at the Capitol at the exact same time he's supposed to be deposed, and he just basically gives the U.S. Congress a middle finger and says that he's a Biden. The rules don't apply to him. He would love to answer their questions, and then he gets in his car and drives off without answering any questions. This won't stand just because Hunter Biden's been treated differently and been treated special by the Department of Justice, the FBI, the IRS, and about every other government agency that should have already apprehended Hunter Biden. That doesn't mean he's going to be treated that way by the House Oversight Committee. We've been firm. We will hold him in contempt of Congress. This will not stand, and we expect to see Hunter Biden in here for a deposition. With respect to the vote, John, I mean, what a vote. Look, it's been a long time since the House Republicans have been unanimous on anything, and I'm proud of my colleagues. The media tried to harass the moderate members by going up to them saying, do you think you can explain this at home? They were trying to do everything they could to deter the moderate, but the moderates know the American people want answers. The American people want to know what the Bidens did to receive the tens of billions of dollars they received from our enemies around the world, and that's what this investigation is all about. It's about providing the American people with the truth.
All right, so that's Comer. He realizes, Hunter did flip you guys off, and maybe they're going to do something about it. Here's Jason Smith, who's also a part of the investigation, explaining that there is more coming. Here is what he sounded like.
Press conference yesterday before the Capitol steps just confirms additionally what IRS whistleblower said. From the facts that they provided, they showed that apparently because your last name was Biden, you were treated differently. Let me tell you.
Above the law.
Donald Trump Jr. went before Congress in the House and the Senate in 6 closed hearings, over 20 hours. What we asked for was not a suggestion. It was a requirement, and he should be held in contempt. He's creating a constitutional crisis because his father is president of the United States, and he feels like that he has the protections and can do as he wishes. But that is not how it works. What other American would have defied a congressional subpoena and did a press conference on the steps of the Capitol the day that he was supposed to be before Congress.
Wow. It's a good point. It is a good point that he is above the law. He can do whatever he wants. He can literally stand right outside Congress, as you're watching right there, and Congress and everybody, Comer, and they're like, huh? Looking out the window, wishing that they could do something about it. So, all right, that's Jason Smith, and he's also realizing it. Now, here's our final clip. This is a warning to Democrats. This one came over from this guy. He's running against Joe Biden, and he's saying, the Democrats, you guys are really botching this, okay? We can see it. You know, even though we're making fun of Comer and Jim Jordan and Biden is, you know, making them look like kind of dum-dums, this is not good for their brand. This is not good for the election. Joe Biden is spiraling out of control. They're running out of time to fix it, and he seems like he's doubling down. Unless Gavin Newsom puts up some tripwires around the White House, it looks like Joe Biden might be the nominee. And so this guy is trying to unseat him and trying to ring the warning bells, but nobody wants to listen.
When you and I spoke, you said that you are not taking on President Biden. You're not running against him. You told me that, and now you're calling him an unelectable threat to democracy. What has changed?
Well, that is unelectable. I mean, the data is showing every single poll coming out right now, Kristen, every one is showing him falling further behind, his approval numbers at historic lows. And I'm trying to generate a wake-up call to Democrats that we have a real problem here. And rather than stifling and suppressing competition, we should be encouraging it.
I disagree. I completely disagree. I think that Joe Biden is your nominee. Okay, he's already done a fine job, you know, here as president. And I think that, you know, he's clearly capable of another 4 years, and Democrats should get behind him.
I spent the better part of a year encouraging other candidates to enter the race. The water's warm. We need to practice democracy now. And I want to make something clear. The president is not a threat to democracy, but running and suppressing other candidates is a threat when you are behind in the polls like he is. And frankly, to
wow, even Democrats are saying that Joe Biden is suppressing the vote. So not only is he prosecuting Republicans like Trump, but he's also suppressing the left. Man, he really is a dictator. It's bipartisan.
Disenfranchised voters in Florida and North Carolina, which is what has happened in the last 2 weeks, is also a risk. And I'm pointing out the fact that we should be practicing democracy, not stifling it.
Just to be clear, you are saying because you think he's unelectable, you believe he's a threat to democracy. So you're ultimately still calling him a threat to democracy.
I will say those who are propagating this delusion that he will beat Donald Trump, they collectively are a threat to democracy. I'm just going to call it like I see it. And that's what the country is saying in every single poll. I just want to make it clear. He is not a threat. He's a good man and someone I respect. But this delusion that he can win is a threat to democracy, yes.
Everything's a threat to democracy. Aren't you so sick of it? It's like everything that you do everywhere is a threat to democracy. And so, all right, that is this guy. Now, I totally disagree. I think Joe Biden is, at least for the Democratic primary, okay, I don't think he's a threat to anything. I think he's fine. He's capable. I think Democrats, he's your best shot. Look, he already beat Trump once, okay? He can do it again. Yeah. So why don't you just get behind him, okay? Stop this bickering. It's time to unify behind Joe. I don't want to hear any talk about Newsom or Kamala or anybody else or Michelle. Nobody, okay? Joe Biden is perfectly capable of winning the Democratic primary. After that, we'll see who else is next best. But okay, so my friends, that is it for us on the day. We've got Eric Swalwell orchestrating the press conference, and we'll see if there is any more that comes out. We see some Democrats hitting the panic button. Comer is just finally realizing he got flipped off. We'll see if Congress springs into action. But thank you for joining us on this segment, and thank you for subscribing to our channel, and thanks for signing up for our daily newsletter at robertgovea.com. You can get all of these segments. All the PDFs are available there. They all get bundled up and emailed to you the day after the show, and that way if you want to forward them to friends or family members, they can see it. We'd love it if you shared our stuff with them, and we'll look forward to seeing you here on the next one.